from KUDOS Latte, and this is the time where you are going to watch yet another amazing guest with his super awesome, so inspiring life journey that is going to give you a lot of inspiration in your life. And if you want to know who is that guest today, so I am your host, Dr. Supriya, and today I'm going to take on a roller coaster ride, fun with, filled with, and a lot of inspiration you're going to watch with this amazing guest. Here is my lovely guest, George Knight. Welcome to our show,
Hello.
and it's been a great pleasure hosting you today.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, global audience, ladies and gentlemen, we all know Christmas is arriving, and we can see a beautiful Christmas tree behind George, and
Small
there
one.
is a lot of positivity in the air. You can say a lot of good vibes and positivity. And that's the reason I said my guest is amazing, full of positive vibes and full of inspiration in life. So, without any delay, without any pause, George, let's start with your so called inspiring journey. And everybody is so eager, even me too, to know who is real George Knight.
Okay. So I want to thank you for giving me that question ahead of time to ponder and think about, because if we think of a life journey, I could talk for hours about that. So I tried to think of what I could say that would kind of condense it to show the path I was on in a way that could benefit the audience that's here. So I'm going to take a direction I've never taken before, and I'll take it right back to the beginning with little me, like where I
Wow.
came from, and then how I went from that to where I am now, to see a journey that maybe can benefit the people who are watching, who might be in a similar situation. So I'm Canadian by birth, and I grew up in northern Canada for the most part, and I came from a family of mental illness. So my mother was a diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic with multiple personalities disorder, so a very severe mental illness in the family, and I have no brothers or sisters. So I went from being alone with that to moving to northern Canada with my family, in which I grew up in a town of about 1,200 people during elementary school. 200 were white, and the rest were mostly Native Canadians, Cree Indian. And so I grew up, and you don't want to be a smart white kid in a minority when when you grow up in that situation. So there was a lot of bullying and a lot of, it was a really, really tough time. So when you go home, you're going home to a home of mental illness. When you're going to school, you're living in fear for pretty much those 8 years. And then at the age of 13, I went to high school in Regina, Saskatchewan, in Luther College, a Christian college where I lived in the dormitory. So I went from that environment, which I haven't really dove into, which I'm not really going to dive into, but just to give you the idea of what it was, and I'm sure you can imagine what it was, to an environment now where I'm 1,700 kilometers away from my family, living in a dormitory with 100 other people at the age of 13. And so that was a shock in a sense as well. It was a much more accepting environment. It went from being like alone to 100 brothers and sisters, and at the same moment that you're going through puberty. So, with all the other things going on in your head.
Yeah, like crazy.
Luckily, yeah, it was the journey. Of course, is much more in depth, but just as a highlight.
Yeah.
And while I was there, the school counselor, who was a PhD in psychology, he also taught the Christian ethics program. He knew we had talked about my life before I came and stuff like that, so he knew what was going on about my family. And he asked me if I would like to audit some courses at the university in abnormal psychology and in general psychology so I could get a better understanding of my home, my life at home. And of course, I jumped on that idea because you can imagine 13 years old, only child, growing up as a minority, being bullied, a home full of mental illness. Understanding was one of the most important things that I could possibly contemplate. So I started studying psychology at a professional level at university when I was 13 or when I was 14 years old. So it was a second term after I arrived at the school, and my birthday is in December, so it was after I turned 14. So I'm 14 years old. I started studying psychology at a university level, which was 38 years ago. So I've had a journey of studying about the mind starting 38 years ago. And I found that I not only helped me learn a lot of things, but I discovered it's my one true passion in life. That I love psychology more than anything else. And it's become the driving force of who I am. It's my passion. Even when I'm not doing anything else, I'm studying. And I've never stopped. I'm studying 3 courses right now, actually. Not directly in psychology. I'm studying 1 course in negotiation, 1 course in networking, and then 1 course which is an interesting course. It's marketed as something else, but as soon as I started studying it, I realized the entire thing is direct suggestion hypnosis. So,
Great.
but
This
it's
is
not.
really mind blowing.
Yeah, but it's not marketed as hypnosis. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I'm sort of seeing how they do things from the point of view of a hypnotist as well, which is interesting. But yeah, so my entire life is all based around psychology, even before I started studying, because from a home of mental illness, always trying to understand behavior from the earliest days I can imagine. Um, and then, of course, from that point, the studying never stopped, right? Got my degree in psychology, got certified as a coach, got certified some NLP, got certified as a hypnotherapist, and the journey just kept going on and on and on until now. So that was sort of like the first step, I guess, was that suffering, and the second step is becoming a sponge, falling in love with the knowledge, and just absorbing everything. It would be my life journey, and I'm still that sponge. I'm still learning. Yeah.
Oh, what should I say, George? Because I am so mesmerized by your
Oh,
life journey.
I have
And
to add. I have to add one thing. I forgot that it's
sure,
actually very key.
yeah,
Um, I've always been very positive. I've I never really noticed I was until about 1992,
yeah.
and I was sitting with a friend of mine, and his girlfriend had just broke up with him, and he was a guitar player. We were sitting at his place. He's an amazing musician, and he came up with a couple like songs about her while we were sitting there. And I said, "See, I said, she may be gone, but you have these 2 new songs." And he's very animated. So he looked at me. He jumped up out of his chair. He threw the guitar onto the sofa. He pointed at me and he said, "It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Mr. Happy." And I was just, and it's like, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, right? So
Yeah.
it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Mr. Happy. And since that moment, it stuck with me. That nickname has stuck since about 1992. And I thought about it, and it's like, well, that is my approach to psychology within, like, back in the day, there was no positive psychology as a field. But
Yeah,
since it's become a field, it's very much in line with everything I've always tried to move towards within psychology.
exactly,
And
exactly.
it's very much, I think, if people know me, they all agree, yeah, it's Mr. Happy. And one last thing was that recently I was divorced a few years ago. The whole situation of that's just insane. I still don't understand it exactly what happened, but I had to leave the country I was in. I came to Georgia, and I was here. Like, I came with no work, maybe or $2,000 in the bank, and 3 suitcases at the age of 50, starting my whole life all over again. And I called my friend. We are doing a video call, And I was telling him, oh, I got this nice place, and this is good, and that's good, and this is good, and all these things. And he started laughing. The same guy that gave me the nickname in 1992. He started laughing. I'm thinking, why are you laughing? And he just pointed at me. He said, nothing can keep Mr. Happy down. He said, if I was in your position, I'd be in the corner crying. So,
Exactly. And George, I should not call you now, as I should not symbolize you as George. I will be calling as Mr. Happy, because life is a
and
continuous journey, which we all know.
yeah,
And nobody's life is perfect. We have to make our life work, but we need to see our problems as challenges, the hidden challenges and the hidden golden opportunity. What George has done with his life, roller coaster life, he was facing all the challenges. And I really loved one thing about your childhood when you said you would need to face a lot of challenges in your home, then you have to go to the dormitory and all sort of stuffs you had seen. But the most important thing I really loved about your journey, that you never ever gave up in your life, and that's what has made you Mr. Happy, Mr. Positive. And there are so many adjectives which I can't say now, right?
thank you.
So this is
And
really great. I salute you for this, George. I
and
salute you.
then from there, I lived in Europe for a while. I lived in Asia. Now I'm living in the Caucasus. So half my life I've lived as an expat also in many
Yeah,
different cultures and many different countries. And I
yeah,
think that what happened when I was younger set me up for that, really.
yeah. Life was preparing you for that, to become
Yeah,
a master in psychology, and then your NLP. Then everything starts, with you and with your experiences that are the best teachers in the world. So that's really
absolutely.
great. That's really great, George. Mr. Happy. Yeah, sorry.
Mr.
Let's
Happy. Yes. I should have put Mr. Happy for the little
Yeah, that's what I'm
the
thinking
bottom
too.
third.
So, George, we all know that what sort of life you had and what you are going through, but as a winner. But still, I wanted to know, you told me about your challenges, agreed. But is there any other challenge that really shook you, and that challenge had given you a lot of goosebumps? And my question is, how did you overcome that pretty challenge? So everybody would love to know that. Give your mantras.
I don't know if I can narrow it down to one because I don't think any challenge I've had has been small. I mean, growing up in a home of mental illness, living in northern Canada with the nearest city being 400 kilometers away, and in a small town where I'm a minority, and with all the abuse that was going on there, and then living alone at the age of 13 in a school, and then traveling alone at the age of 16 to Germany for half a year. I was there when the Berlin Wall came down, which was really cool. I got to stand on the Berlin Wall. Soldiers came, kicked us all off. Then we got back up on the Berlin Wall again. It was some really fun stuff back then. And then coming back and trying to build a business and losing everything, and that happening multiple times in my life. And then my best friend, like, well, I guess if we one thing was before I left Canada, maybe this might be a good one for the people listening because it shows how you can be left with a decision, and sometimes making a very big decision can be a good one. So before I left Canada, my best friend died of leukemia, and which was very hard for me because I don't have a very big social group. I have like 4 or 5 friends, so it was like 25% of my friend group gone in an instant, and the whole story behind that's very very heartbreaking. I'm not going to go into it because I'll probably cry. but so he died, and then a month after that, there was a fire in the building next door to mine, and I lost my home. And then I was living in a hotel for 6 months. And while I was living there, I couldn't operate my business because all my equipment was in my home, which was now being taken care of by the insurance company. So I lost my business. Because I lost my business, I didn't have income, so I lost my car. So I lost my best friend, my home, my car, my business. I'm living in a hotel. And then the insurance company called me and said, well, you need to move back into your place. And they still hadn't fixed the building. And they said, you have till Monday. So now I have no income, no car, no home, and I'm about to be kicked out of the hotel. And I basically picked up the phone and I said, "How much is it for a ticket to Thailand?" And they said $1,000. I said, "Okay, can I book one for Monday?" And I simply left Canada 3 days later. And I've been living internationally ever since.
Yeah.
So with everything that was happening, some people would be just like, what? For me, it was like, okay, well, let's just start something completely new then. Let's go halfway around the world where I don't know anybody and start a whole new life.
Oh, this is really great. I mean,
So there's
nobody,
options.
even nobody can think of, if I would be in your place, definitely I would have lost my confidence, But the most important thing is you kept your patience. You just lived with your soul. You lived with your positivity. And I think that's very difficult, George. It's not everybody's cup of coffee because everybody is so different. Every morale and your confidence, that really matters a lot. But I really appreciate you from the bottom core of my heart, your dedication, your determination, and your courage, which has, provoked you to move forward with your positivity and gave you the title of Mr. Happy. And I am giving
Well,
you the title of Mr. Positive, right?
oh,
So keep these two titles and
well,
keep
there's
moving
only
on.
one direction to go. There's
Yeah,
only one direction
one
you can
direction to
go.
go. And when there is no option left for you to be strong, you are super strong. That's what I
Well,
believe.
that's when you have to make a new option.
Yeah, that's true.
And if there's no options there, then sometimes you need to just take a drastic action and see what happens. It,
And see what
for
happens.
for me, it worked out very well. I ended up having a very good life in Thailand up until COVID, and then I lost everything after COVID. But again, that's fine. I mean, I look at myself. I've been walking this earth for half a century, so there's been so many times I've lost everything and I've got everything back. So I know that no matter what happens, I can get anything back because each time something happens, you're stronger than the last. If you can
Exactly.
recover from the last time, then you can definitely recover from the next time.
Exactly. And law of attraction itself says what you desire, you will get it. Only thing you have to be positive and you have to, get those positive affirmations. And that's what you were doing, George. That's what I
Well,
can say.
there's one extra step. You have to
Yeah,
do something.
exactly. Actions speak
The,
louder than
the
words.
affirmations and the mindset are fine, but without actions, it's like in the Bible it says, faith
Yeah,
without actions is dead. It's the same
exactly.
aspect. Your affirmations and your mindset without acting upon it is dead. It's one of the first things I teach to any of my students or even my coaching clients that if you're learning something, the way to decide if you've learned something is not by remembering it, it's by looking at your life and has your life changed. If there's no behavioral change, you haven't learned anything.
Exactly.
Because if you've learned something new, you should be doing something new. And for me, I had spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, what I thought was learning and reading hundreds of books. But when I looked at my life, I wasn't doing very many things differently. And I had to accept, I took this comment and I accepted it into myself. I said, really, I've spent decades and I haven't learned anything.
Oh, great. And
So
learning
then
is an endless journey. Learning is an
yeah,
endless journey,
but the whole
continuous
thing
process.
is the acquisition of knowledge is not learning. If it doesn't change something, you haven't learned anything.
Very
And
true.
so
Very true.
when I adapted that, I realized that thousands and thousands of hours and hundreds of books that I've read, I learned nothing because I hadn't changed my behavior. That was a hard pill to swallow, but it made me reevaluate. And now when I learn something, it has to change me. And I want
Exactly.
that for my students and I want that for the people I coach as well, that if they've learned something new, what's the new belief? What's the new behavior? I think that's important for the people listening now because if they can adapt that same belief, it puts a different perspective on learning.
Yeah. And I think all the learnings which you had in your life, that has made you the best version of yourself, the best version, day by day
God
stronger,
made me that.
day by day stronger, day by day you're changing your thoughts, your actions, and your beliefs too. So this is the journey with George, Mr. Positive, Mr. Happy. And moving to this beautiful journey, I would love to know now, George, you're an author, speaker, coach, and trainer. So tell something about your book, about your profession, and how people can leverage from your great work.
Sure. So basically, the way I think of my work is that I create new humans. I mean, really, when people are finished with me, they're not the same as when they showed up. So basically, I view myself as a person who creates new humans. We see where, and everyone's different. Everyone starts at a different place. Everyone has a different image of where they want to go to. My job is to understand where they are, to understand where they want to go, help them create a strategy, and then give them accountability along the way and some help along the way. And I do that through, of course, coaching, training, sometimes hypnosis, hypnotherapy, not as much as now as I used to, but I still do as well with that.
Yeah,
And through speaking and through writing, with the book that's coming up, where I just finished a book on stress and stress management with co-authored with a psychologist from the United States. So that'll be in
that's great.
stores. That'll be in stores at the end of this year, and
That's really
I'll be sharing information of that with you, and of course, probably within a week from now, we can have some information maybe in the description of the video for everybody.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I will be posting all the description which you are telling in our post on social media and LinkedIn, Facebook. So it will be better for everyone to go through it and can change their life in the best version of themselves. So
yeah, we
thank you,
can.
George. That's really great.
It'll be updated in about a week from now when it's once I give all the new links and stuff for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So here, I would love to draw the attention of my global viewers, audiences. Please, please, please connect with George. And yes, his coachings are really, really miraculous, wonderful. So keep changing yourself in the mean of learning something from your life, learning something from your journey. And most importantly, the important thing is you should learn what you read. Otherwise, your all learnings are waste for you
Should
if you
have
can't change
behavioral change. Something
yourself.
changes.
Something changes, and you have to change your mind, body, soul, so you can be the best and powerful version, like Mr. Happy or Mr. Positive, the two crowns which we have given today. So thank you
Is
so much, George, for this thing. Yeah.
Has there been any questions from the people viewing at all?
No, people are not asking, but they are appreciating and commenting that it is
Well,
going great.
why don't we give them one quick chance that if anyone has a question they'd like to ask, I'm willing to answer it before we go
Yeah.
offline.
Yeah. So they can ask in the chat given, and I will be asking through George, and he will be answering. So no worries for that. Keep doing
Is
that.
is there anything there coming up? Because if there's one now, we can address it.
No,
That'd
it's
be great.
there for they are appreciating good going, great going, good inspiring life journey. They are learning a lot, and
I'm
this is
happy
the
to hear.
way they are playing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Happy to go. Well, George, this was the work and profession and your deeds which you're doing for the society, for the humanity. And now I would love to ask one question, which is really, really
Hmm?
favorite for
Sure.
kiddos. What's your opinion about kiddos miracles? So anything from your heart.
Well, I really like the fact the way you bring all these different speakers together, all these different professionals together in a community to share their stories with everyone. I think that's extremely valuable and can really help a lot of people. And I think that's probably the one thing I like the most about what I've seen so far.
So thank you so much for this. And yes, we all have to inspire each other. We all have to support each other in the life journey. And most importantly, when you're supporting anybody, when you're appreciating, when you're motivating, you are doing the best humanity job. And that's called being human. Yeah.
And actually, I have one thing that maybe I'd like to close with for everyone that was very profound for me that might be profound for them as well.
Sure.
It's something someone said to me. So a friend of mine from many years ago, he said this to me, and at the time he was making about $500,000 per month. So I thought he was like super rich. Of course, 500,000 is great. It's not super rich, but it's pretty good. And he said to me, he said, you know, you're one behavior away from incredible success in your life. And I was like, okay, what's the behavior? Please tell me. right? Because okay, if I need to just need one, come on, let me know what it is. And he said, okay, but you cannot listen here. You have to listen here if I'm going to tell you. So I'm telling everyone, including you, you have to listen here if I'm going to tell you this, right? And it's so very important, and it's so very true that if you take this into your heart, you change your life in this way. If you learn this, which is behavioral change, right? If you learn this, your life will change. And what he said to me was very simple but very profound. And most truths are very profound and simple. He said, anything you want in life, first give it away. That's it. So if you
Wow.
want love, first love some other people. If you want someone to help you, first help other people.
Exactly.
If you want success, first help somebody else become successful. Whatever you want in life, first give it away. And I mean give it away. You don't help someone and expect them to help you. No, that's not giving it away. You just do
Unconditional.
it. You just
Yeah.
give it freely away. So anything you want, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's love, if it's help, if it's success, anything you want in life, first give it away. And that's the
That's
most powerful thing I could ever give to the audience, I think, today, was that quote.
Yes, George, and the people are loving this because this is a powerful message. But if we can get another powerful message from you, that would be really amazing because you have given tremendous thing, and I would love to share on social media. Yeah, please go on
Okay.
in any other powerful message.
Hmm. Putting me on the spot. That one came to my mind. Let me see what other ones. Of course, we have two so far, right? So one is that there's no learning without behavioral change.
Yeah,
Adapting that will change the way you study, will change the way you learn. And of course, anything you want in life, first give it away. This is primarily the key thing. And the other aspect is, I guess, well, for me personally,
yeah,
is to have faith, right? Everything I have is by the grace of God, period. Nothing
yeah,
else. Because even today, well, no matter what, like any speaking engagement, any training, any coaching, anything I ever do with anyone, I have one prayer that I always say. And it's very simple, and maybe I'll share it here. And it's simply this one thing, that
yeah,
God, please bless me so that I can be a blessing unto others.
exactly.
That's it.
Wow.
So
So this is
if that is your goal, then you'll be amazed with how much blessings will come to you when your goal is to be a blessing unto others.
awesome. This is called a powerful message. And that's the reason I requested for the powerful message with George. So thank you so much for
Well,
coming to our show.
thanks,
And it's been
thanks,
a
wonderful.
great message.
I didn't know what to say, so we have to thank something else for that.
Exactly, George. And really, trust me, you're two powerful messages. That's the reason I requested for another powerful because you
Okay.
were charging everybody and you are charging and you will be charging so many people. You will be changing up you can say, inspiring people when they are dying. And that's the best motivation, what you are providing. So, thank you so much from the bottom core of my heart. And it was really, really a pleasure meeting with you and knowing about your journey and transforming millions today. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, my global audience, for always loving us, cheering us. And till then, stay happy, hale, and hearty. Bye bye for now.